Hello friends, and welcome to another video from my series Quick Thoughts On, in which I always talk about different stories from the rich Star Trek universe. 50 years and way too many weeks ago, NBC aired the next episode of the classic Star Trek show. The episode was called The Savage Curtain, and these are my honest opinions about it. When I was younger, I never understood why people love mocking the original series and act like it's the dumbest thing ever invented by a human. I mean, in my humble opinion, during the first 2 years, most of the episodes were at least good, and many of them were actually great. But years later, I think that it's a simple case of not watching the correct episodes. The people who love mocking TOS are probably casual viewers who never sat down and watched episodes like The Cage, The Corbomide Maneuver, or I don't know, The City on the Edge of Forever, or any of the classics. They probably randomly watched episodes like Spock's Brain and The Children Shall Lead, or even The Savage Curtain. This episode belongs to the weird collection of episodes which are not really bad, but they are incredibly stupid. I mean, I still enjoy watching it, but it gets better with every beer you have before the viewing. The sad thing is that this episode could be so much better. I mean, the script was started by Gene Roddenberry himself, back when he thought that he will run Season 3. To make the long story short, Star Trek was supposed to be cancelled after Season 2. Roddenberry accidentally leaked the information to the Trimbles, who were fans of the show, when they were visiting the set, and they started the famous letter writing campaign. They claimed that the whole USA were bombarding NBC with letters, and that Roddenberry was not involved at all. The NBC executives, however, claimed that it was all Roddenberry's idea and that they received just a few thousands of letters. But the fact is that NBC has decided to renew Trek for a third season, but with a reduced budget. When Roddenberry heard about the reduced budget, he fired the Season 2 showrunner John Meredith Lucas, but he gave him 2 episodes to direct and 1 to write. And as a cost-saving measure, he became not only the executive producer, but also the showrunner for Season 3. Plus, he also started to write some scripts. The Savage Curtain is one of the episodes he started working on. Later, when he was informed that the budget cuts for Season 3 will be even worse than he thought, and that the show will be moved to the so-called Friday night death slot at 10 p.m., he was furious and demanded changes or he will leave the show. NBC responded with hiring a new showrunner, Fred Freiberger, who didn't know or understand Star Trek, but he was able to stay on budget. When Roddenberry left the production and stayed there as only an executive producer, other people who were working with him left soon too. The show lost people like Bob Justman, DC Fontana, or David Gerrold, and the quality of the show suffered a lot. The script was finished/rewritten by Arthur Heineman, who is mostly known for rewriting the script to The Way to Eden, and just like that one, this one is a mess. Plus, in this episode, you can clearly notice which parts were written by Roddenberry and which parts were not. In the case you haven't seen the episode, let's quickly talk about the plot. The Enterprise is examining a lava planet. It has a name, but I don't care enough to remember its name. It's just a lava planet. It looks like there can be no intelligent life, but suddenly something scans them, and then they see Lincoln in space. Yep. This is one of those episodes. He communicates with the Enterprise, somehow, in space. What is he? I don't know. Then they beam him on board and Kirk demands from the crew to behave like he's the real Lincoln. You know, this is an interesting idea and could work if given to a different writer. It could work if this was written as a mystery show, but now this Lincoln is absolutely inconsistent. He knows, for example, what a volcan is, but doesn't understand the concept of an audio recording. He knows what a spaceship is, but is surprised that they can measure how high above the planet surface they are. He doesn't know how did he get there, but he knows that they should beam to the surface. Sure. He has an interesting scene on the bridge where he meets Uhura and calls her a charming negress. Now, I'm not a native speaker, as everybody who listens to this knows, so I have no problem with the term, because as far as I know, a different N-word is considered to be a racist slur, not this one, but they behave like he said something insulting. I honestly don't know. I checked Urban Dictionary and some sources even there claim it's offensive, while other sources claim it's not, but that's not really important in this moment. What is important is what happens next. Lincoln starts to apologize, but Uhura says something wonderful. In the 23rd century they have learned not to fear words. I really want to live in the 21st century and not in the 21st century, where something which was completely okay yesterday is today suddenly offensive. When they finally beam down to the lava planet, they, meaning Kirk, Spock and Lincoln, we see the villain of the episode, a rock monster. I'm pretty sure it has a name, but let's be honest, for 99% of us, it will always be just a rock monster. They use their powerful rock monster magic to bring Lincoln back to life. Not only that, they also bring to life Surak, one of the greatest volcans, the creator of their philosophy. So how does it work? What are these recreations? Are they illusions, holograms, robots, rock monsters transformed to humanoids? I don't know, and I don't care enough to Google it. So what is the reason for this? Well, this is a civilization of rock monsters, and they don't understand the humanoid philosophies of good and evil. So when the Enterprise arrived to their orbit, they scanned their minds and created some representatives of good people from their minds, of Kirk and Spock. Lincoln was created from Kirk's memories, and Surak was created from Spock's memories. At least I guess that's what happened. And I'm not even going to question why the rock monsters have technology which allows them to scan starships orbiting their planet, search for very specific concepts in the minds of very specific crew members belonging to races which they have never met before, and create new life. Asking these questions would mean I care. So who are the representatives of evil? Genghis Khan, the only character based on a real historical figure. Zora, a woman of unknown race doing unknown things. Colonel Green, a genocidal maniac from the 21st century. And the Klingon warrior Kailash the Unforgettable. Or Kailash for the fans of Discovery. So, what should they do? Well, fight to the death, of course. What else? Green pretends that he wants to talk this out with Kirk, but Genghis Khan and the others attack the good guys, plus the rock monster uses the rock monster magic to allow the Enterprise crew to watch all of this, perfectly edited and shot with multiple cameras, of course. Surak doesn't want to fight, so he wants to talk to the enemies, because being logical means doing very stupid, illogical things, apparently. Yes, you know that the four of them are perfect recreations of four villains, but logic dictates that you trust them. Huh? Oh, what a surprise, he gets caught. But he screams for help. The rest of the three good guys come up with a plan. Kirk and Spock ambush the evil team. Meanwhile, Lincoln rescues Surak. But there is a little problem. Surak is dead. And I am always confused by this part. Spock said that a real Vulcan wouldn't scream so much, so I always thought, based on deadline and everybody's reaction to it, that they expected Surak to be dead. But yet his death is played as a surprise? Why? Oh, and the screaming was done by Kayless. Are all Klingons good in doing different voices, or just Kayless? And he even shows that he can do Lincoln. But they don't use it. Huh? So Lincoln just walks to Kirk and Spock like nothing is happening, and then he falls down on his face, showing us that he had a spear in his back. Why did he have a spear in his back? I mean, Green and Kayless were standing at his side when they caught him. Why did they kill him with a spear? Or did they give the old man who was lying at their feet enough time to stand up and run? And when he was running, they threw a spear to his back? And his reaction to that was that he casually walked to his friends until he decided that it's time to die in front of them? This whole thing is stupid, like the whole episode. But they fight, and they fight, and they fight, and they fight, and Kirk kills Green. At least I think that's what happened, and the other three run away. So, that probably makes Kirk and Spock the winners, and they can go back to the ship and fly away. So, what was the point of the whole episode? The story is dumb. Really, really dumb. It's so dumb it could be a great episode of Star Trek Discovery. It's not completely crap, however, you can clearly see what elements came from Roddenberry's script and which are Heinemann's additions. Roddenberry was a huge fan of Abraham Lincoln back in the day when people were not ashamed to be fans of politicians. He even named his company Lincoln Enterprises. So, Lincoln on the Enterprise, that's typical Roddenberry. The mystery in the beginning, that's also typical for his writing, just like the social commentary. The Rock Monsters were originally recreating dramas for their entertainment. It was planned to be a typical Roddenberry criticism of US television, just like were the Telosians in The Cage and The Menagerie. This story also has a nice anti-war message. Lincoln has a nice little anti-war speech, which really sounds like a typical Roddenberry speech, and that's probably all that I liked about this episode. A couple of concepts and one short speech. That's a shame. If anybody asks you why people usually don't like the last season of the original series, you can show them this episode and they will fully understand why. On my standard scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is complete garbage, 10 is a masterpiece, and 5 is just average, I would give this episode 3 out of 10. It's definitely one of the worst episodes of the classic Star Trek, but it's definitely not the worst. You know what the great thing about it is? That the next episode was all our yesterdays, and I am genuinely excited to watch it again. This episode was probably the best episode of the third season. But as always, those were just my opinions. Let me know what did you think about this one down in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button, and if you have some free time, feel free to watch any of the other videos on my channel. You should see some links on screen right now. Thank you very much for watching, and see you very soon. Bye.